Do you think it's good when we have regional rap where the South sounds like the South, the
Mhm.
East Coast sounds like the East Coast? Well, not even East Coast. New York sound like New York. Philly sound like Philly. Chicago sound like Chicago. Do you like rap hip hop better that way, or when it is like everybody is just sounds like whatever, and you can't really tell where people is from? And I think hip hop fell into that at one point. But what do you think?
It's kind of tough. I don't know if this will be a hot take, but I actually like when it's region specific because I
Man,
feel like when you have a regional sound and you have those artists hopping on those or really like at the forefront, it sounds the most authentic. Because you'll have if you have a New York artist or a traditional East Coast artist rapping on West Coast beats, it may sound cool, it may sound good for the moment, but the for me, my mind automatically goes to like the hip hop greats that really took that sound to the forefront, right? So if I hear like again a New York artist over an Easy E style beat, my mind is taking me to Easy E, right? Like
right.
so if the lyrics or the sound isn't really reflective of the lifestyle that beat or sound really like reflects, then I'm already taken out of the sound or the song or the album or the moment. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I think like the sound has to be authentic to that. Otherwise, it's just an imitation game, and I don't really like that. I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's
No,
my initial thought. You know what I mean?
no, I would agree. I 100% agree. I like hip hop better when it is regional. And I think one of the reasons why is because I think that's one of the things that made me fall in love with hip hop music. I think that it was cool. Me being from Chicago, I was able to listen to music and kind of get a feel for what's going on around the world. I was able to hear DMX and be like, oh, that's where Yonkers is, and this is what he's dealing with in Yonkers. I was able to listen to Ludacris and say, oh, okay, that's what Atlanta sounds like. That's what they're doing in Atlanta. I was able to listen to Nelly, and which was the first artist anybody had ever really heard from St. Louis in hip hop, and be like, oh man, I never, I'm in the Midwest, never even thought about St. Louis, never thought to go.
Mhm.
Never
Yeah,
really knew what they sounded like. Didn't even know what the accent sounded like. But now I do because I've seen Nelly and the Saint Lunatics, and now I know what's going on over there. I think that is one of the most beautiful things about hip hop because it exposes people to black culture everywhere. It kind of like unifies
everywhere.
everybody, but by exposing them to what's going on with black people in other cities. So I always loved hip hop for that, and I think that we lost that. Me and you talked about off air that what that turning point was where we started losing that in hip hop for a little while. Now, I think we both agreed that it was ASAP Rocky.
Absolutely.
And I think when ASAP came out, it was confusing because when I first heard ASAP Rocky, I was like, oh, this is Houston. Because he was
Exactly.
doing the chopped and screwed, and he was mixing a lot of that stuff in there, and even the lingo that he was using, the trill and all of this. I was like, oh, this is Houston. And then when I found out he was from Harlem, I was like, wait, huh? How,
Totally switch it up. Yeah, like in a lot of people's mind. He was doing chopped and screwed and all that on his first
yeah.
mixtape, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first joint I heard from him was what's the name of that track? Pesos, which is
Yeah.
all the chopped and screwed all in the background, and it sounds like a Houston record. You know what I mean? And I would say that, and I would also add in another person, Drake.
Yeah, he
I
did.
think simultaneously you had Drake who was doing a lot of the Houston stuff with Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. With he had a lot of chopped and screw stuff on So Far Gone. So when you did that, and there was no Canadian hip hop sound that we knew of at that time.
Yeah.
So I think around that period, and I guess you would say like the late 2000s, early 2010s. I would say that's when it kind of started getting skewed, and artists who are out, you started listening to hip hop and like, okay, all these artists are just meshing stuff, and they all kind of sound the same. I don't really know where people are from anymore. Yeah.
Mm,
Now I
yeah.
would say that I think Kendrick is kind of resparking that by
Okay.
by because Kendrick is another artist where depending on what song you're listening to, you might not necessarily have associated him with this is a West Coast artist. We all knew it, but there's songs of his that are like that don't sound like West Coast specific. But I think this GNX album is so West Coast sounding
Yeah.
that I think you're having an artist like a Kendrick gravitate back to his regional sound.
Mm.
I'm starting to see it come back a little bit.
I am too. Like, I didn't even think about that until this very moment. Like, dang, like, is he making people revert back to their regional roots, bro?
I think
Like,
so.
that's kind of crazy. That's an interesting convo. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is, man. I think that Kendrick going saying, okay, I'm gonna fully embrace this West Coast sound. Um, at the biggest level in hip hop. You know what I mean? I think that you saw more West Coast artists started coming out and gravitating to that sound. And you got like a Joey Badass and them who are like gravitating more to the East Coast stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that is I like hip hop better that way, to be honest.
I do. I like sides. I like when there's sides, bro. I don't know.
I like
Maybe
genre bending. No, I do like when
yeah.
sides collab and jump
Of
into each
course.
other's worlds. I think it's fire. I think like we talked about like Big Pimpin' being one of those moments where you had a
Mhm.
Jay-Z and a Pimp C on the song together and it
Yeah,
meshes perfectly. I think
exactly.
I think that those moments are beautiful in hip hop. But I think it's beautiful because you're having two sounds that are merging.
Exactly. So it makes the moment that much more special. And you're right. Like genre bending artists, like I wouldn't necessarily put Kid Cudi in his mix, but I'm sure like
Yeah.
he's contributed to it in some way because he
Oh,
doesn't sound
absolutely.
like he's from. I don't know if Cleveland necessarily has one sound, but he doesn't sound like he's
Um,
really from the
before
Midwest.
before that, I would
Yeah.
say that the Cleveland had the Midwest
Hmm.
when Bone Thugs came out.
Oh yeah, that's a good point
Rapping fast was the Midwest sound. The
for
whole
sure. Just
chopping, Twister, Bone
yeah.
Thugs, that was the Midwest thing. So I would say with them being the biggest hip hop artists out of Cleveland leading up to that, and he don't
Mhm.
sound nothing like them. So
Not a single like he does melodies and stuff, but not in the same ballpark, bro. Like
yeah,
he's a totally different artist,
still
and he's
melodic, but
yeah, but he's contributed to that genreless or regionalist style of hip hop or rap music too in a lot of ways, man. Man on the Moon to me is a classic album. We talked about that in
absolutely.
the past on the pod. But yeah, nah, like, and I think it's reared great music, but I also like when people are just at home base, bro, like with their home, like, and are competing too. I wonder who's going to come out from the South who's really kind of holding the flag too, in the same way that Kendrick has on the West and Joey Badass on the East,
And
man.
that's one thing that I think is gonna be telling who's gonna be that person to jump in from the south. And you know who I want it to be. You already know.
Crit.
Well, Crit, of course, but I think Crit. I don't think Crit is in the same class as them. Crit's
Mm,
been around a little bit. Well, maybe Joey Badass, but he's older. So
yeah.
I was gonna say JID.
Oh, yo, that would be a good. Yo, I could see it. Nah, I could see that one. I'm not
JID
gonna lie.
from JID from Atlanta, man. I like to see JID.
Yeah.
Crit, of course, is Crit. I love to see Crit jumping this just because. You feel me?
Right. Right.
Hey, I just want to slap some people around just because. I would love to see. But
Yeah.
JID seems like more in their class of the artists who are
For
involved.
sure. I could see that. Yeah. And he can, as you know, lyrically, he can compete with any of them dudes. Like, for sure.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. So I think that he's going to be the one holding the mantle. But I would say some people don't think he sounds like he's from the South.
I mean, yeah, I could kind of, he doesn't sound like he's specifically from Atlanta. I know that. Nah,
Right.
nah. Yeah.
So I would say a lot of people don't necessarily associate his style with Southern hip hop,
Yeah. I
and I can
wouldn't,
and I can see it.
I wouldn't know how to categorize it. It's just good music.
It's
But
just a lyric. He's just a lyricist. So I think
you feel me?
he's a
Yeah.
very technical rapper. So I think that people don't necessarily associate that with Southern hip hop. But I don't know why there've been a lot of lyricists who come out of the South. I mean, look at Andre 3000. So
Yeah. I know he dropped the piano album we'll never talk about on the pod, but
we
yeah,
just gonna skip over that and act like it didn't happen, man. And maybe that'll make him rap again. If
exactly.
everybody just ignores him when he does these other projects, maybe he'll start rapping.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The baby could hold a flag for the
The
South, man.
baby
Like,
from
who knows?
Carolinas. Facts. That's true.
You know, actually, what's crazy? I think he was technically born in Cleveland, but he's definitely a Charlotte, a Southern rap artist through and through, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know he was born in Cleveland.
So was Lotto. She was born in Columbus.
Y'all
Who
better
knows?
start. Y'all better start claiming them people in Ohio, man.
Oh yeah, bro. We need to do a better job of claiming our own, like Arsenio
Lotto.
Hall, Halle Berry's of the source, Steve
Halle Berry
Harvey's.
from Ohio.
He from Cleveland, bro. Yeah.
That's very random.
We don't claim our people as well as we need to, man. I don't know what it are Ohioans afraid to do it? Like,
I
I
don't
don't get it,
know.
man. Yeah.
I feel like there's a couple places like that that I don't feel like publicly claim their people well enough, and I think Ohio's like that. I think Delaware is like that. Like, you know how I knew Delaware was like that? When I first went to Delaware and kicked it, I was like, yo, I don't even have an identity of what black people are like in Delaware. Until I went there. Like, I don't know what they sound like, their accent.
Yeah,
And Delaware has a lot of black people. And I didn't know that.
they do. They do.
Wilmington is
Wilmington.
very,
Yeah.
very, very black. Like,
Yeah.
but it's that representation. I feel like they don't. I don't know. I don't know. Then I don't know if every city needs a brand ambassador or whatever. But
They need a brand ambassador to like, you know what I mean? Just to
even
let
like
people.
Indianapolis it got a whole bunch of black people, but you wouldn't know.
Bro, it does. And honestly, I'm glad you said Wilmington, Delaware, because it's really, in my mind, it's the overflow city. Like, if you don't live in Philly, you live in Wilmington. Like that's how I kind of see it for real.
Yeah,
Now that I've been like a handful of times, I'm like, yeah. Naptown, Indianapolis,
yeah,
definitely got a lot of people. Everybody thinks Mike Epps, but there's so many other people from Indy, like that come on.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Rap and Reason podcast with Dr. Jeremy C. McCool and Earl Hopkins.